the name Florida Tuxedo, fittingly enough, since my parents are French, supposedly came about over a bottle of wine and a friend they had. And I think from what he told me, it was, they had in mind Canadian tuxedo, but they're not Canadian, but Canadian tuxedo is, the jean shorts or pants and the vest. And I don't know, somehow they just thought, Florida tuxedo. And back then, all the nurseries down here, a lot of them started their name with Florida, so you knew where the plants were coming from, so Florida tuxedo plants. The main production that we do is springtime blooming and tropical plants, and that's really what a majority of our field is filled with. What we sell in spring is hibiscus, gardenia, mandevilla. These are plants that people up north will buy pretty consistently year after year because they're coming out of winter and they need some blooming items. Now in the last few years, probably a year or two before COVID, I started branching off and doing more interior plants. And I got very lucky with the timing, of course, because there was this huge, plant boom that occurred in part because of COVID, but we could already see it coming with like a millennial generation getting into buying things, and they seem to already have been gravitating towards, plants. It's very trendy, it moves a lot. So the plants that I started off, offering interior now sell either for a fraction of the cost or they don't sell really. And now we're onto a whole other product line. So I'm constantly having to kind of reinvent the inventory. And so it's a constantly evolving inventory. My day-to-day is just seeing everything as a whole and kind of managing the whole enterprise together. We're filling a 25-acre nursery that most of the product leaves in about 6 to 8 weeks' time. It's almost grounding to know when life is so crazy around you, you know that the plants are a constant. What they will react to is a constant. My parents came from France 8 days after they got married in the late 70s. My dad came here working for another plant broker that brokered young plants from I think Africa. And that business didn't do too well apparently, so, but he was determined, they were both determined to stay. So my dad actually started buying plants in Homestead in the morning and bringing them up to Miami Beach in a van and selling them like that. Slowly he bought an acre of land, and then it turned into 2 acres and 3, and then finally we got part of this property here, which is a 20-acre. My early recollections are me sitting on the top of the first soil pile that we ever bought with my dog. I remember spending the days just wandering the farm with stray dogs and cats and finding worms in the soil that I could use to go fishing later on. In the back of our house we had a little lake. I didn't feel a love for plants really until much later in my life. It wasn't something that I was drawn to very much. It was always, the family business was that, it didn't interest me. I actually went to college and did international business, came back to Miami and worked for an import-export person for a while. It was interesting, but I wasn't in love with it at all, but it was my early 20s. I was more interested in partying, and I guess I hadn't found my calling yet, or my avenue. And then kind of somehow ended up back here. My dad more removed from the company. He kind of gave me the day-to-day activity, which in the beginning was pretty tough. I had no idea what I was doing, but I guess he had a lot of trust in me being able to pick it up. And he always taught me, never be afraid to ask questions. He had a lot of friends in the industry. He was always a nice person to everyone else, paid his bills. And I found a lot of people were very open to help me. And so I kind of, I latched on to some people that really, that taught me everything that I know, really from the beginning. I guess that's when I started looking at the plant more as like a living thing, as opposed to just a commodity. At that moment, I started, for the first time, seeing plants even in the landscape. Before, I'd never paid attention to it. I always tell people my business is great in terms of quality of life. I'm my own boss, self-employed, which is great. Revolving around, something that people want. That I'm not selling a toilet bowl. I'm selling, a living, breathing commodity, I guess if you want to put it bluntly. So there's both sides of that, There's yeah, we need to sell them to make money, but it's a beautiful thing that we're selling. And when people open the truck doors in Michigan and see a truck full of beautiful blooming plants, and they're coming out of winter, it's a good feeling when you get that call, saying, hey, everything's beautiful, everyone loves your plants. And so I hope that someday, maybe my kids can have that same feeling, I guess, and no matter what they do, but it would be great to have them kind of have that in this setting, because it is a beautiful line of work. It beats sitting at an office, for sure. There's a lot of attention to detail. It's definitely something that we strive for. Cleanliness, perfection is never there, but we strive for perfection as much as possible. Also, originality, something you're not going to see everywhere is important. A lot of the things you can't really find anywhere else for the most part. And beauty, you want them to be happy, and I love when I bring them around the cart and the words that come out are wow, or oh my gosh, you do that, or I've never seen this before. That's always fun.